Hi friends, good afternoon. Today is 7th of July 2020 and I just thought to add an episode to my conversations random thoughts. If you're not handsome at 20, healthy at 30, rich at 40 and wise at 50, you may well never be handsome, rich, wealthy or wise. This was a saying which I picked up from my school days in middle school. As we are nearing our 50s, we are just trying to make sense of our times and life, especially in this post lockdown COVID 19 era. I never considered savings till almost I was 30-year-old, and this episode which I am making is basically on my experiences with savings. This is well influenced by or motivated by an old letter that I found in the archives which I had written in July 2020 while I was undergoing my master's diploma in personal management from Symbiosis. This episode is influenced by certain books which I read at that time and have kept in my library. Those are Rich Dad and Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. Now, this author did publish a series of books which almost were the same content, one of which is Conspiracy of the Rich. The other book that had influenced me at that time are Winning by Jack Welch, Iacocca, it's an autobiography, and The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Well, as a bachelor, I would share my financial outlook at that time at the start of this century 2020. In those days, I did earn a rather living salary of 7,000 rupees. And when I thought of saving, all I could think of was the public provident fund. Contrary to what my wife would tell, and I contest, I never had been a spendthrift. I realized that at that time, though I was earning 7,000 rupees, my monthly expenses were as low as 2,000 rupees a month. This is the diagram of the breakdown of my expenses I had made for that mail in July 2020. As I was undergoing the management course from Symbiosis, my expenses on books were the most, to around 1,000 rupees a month. On food and snacks I would just spend 500 rupees. On clothing, movies, entertainment, just 200 rupees. On travel, emails and phones, because those were the days when we didn't had laptops or computers, even smartphones, so we used to go to the cyber cafes for that purpose, and the expenses were around 200 a month. And then for routine toilet items it was just 100 rupees a month. It may be very difficult for someone of this generation to comprehend these costs now, which were just at the start of this century 18 years back. Okay, here I would just bring in a theory which I would suppose is of financial sense. Life is just a game, and finances, I would say, is a game of cards. Now, our financial health is determined just by four cards, and these cards are. So, among the four cards, the most prominent one is the income card. The other cards are expense, assets, and liabilities. Income broadly constitutes of our salary, our part-time job, a vocational job, a business earning, income generated from, let's say, a real estate, mutual funds, rental income, interest, savings, dividends on stocks. So this is a broad categorization. Expenses are what constitutes of the basics of living, which is food, clothing, entertainment, our routine spending, taxes, transportation, rent that we pay, and other payments that we have to make, like electric bill, water, and other things. The assets would be our savings, our real estate, properties, stocks, bonds, business. In my opinion, Even a goodwill is an asset, a professional education or a technical training is an asset. So whatever we spend on it is our asset. The last one is the liability card, which is the loans that we take, the luxury accessories like a car or a expensive vacation plan, our maintenance cost of ownership of the equipment that we have or the luxuries that we have, then our dependents, uh, then our extra service charges that we pay, membership charges that we have, then the customs we spend on social obligation and mortgages. So these are the four cards through which we play our financial game. We know it or not, but as we grow up, we all play this game of financial cards, and this was the way I was handling my game. So, as mentioned earlier, I had just a living salary of 7,000 rupees, but very meager expenses of 2,000 rupees. So, the leftover went towards my asset, which at that time was a saving in Provident Fund of 5,000 rupees, and that asset generated an interest of 1,000 rupees a month. Now, a good financial planning would have its liabilities being met not by the salary but by the income from the assets. At that time, though, I had no liabilities, and so the leftover saving of just 1,000 rupees again went to the bank and was placed in compound interest. So that was my modest beginning with financial planning. I did also realize that some people who did marry early or go for early marriages end up with such cards. Well, this is a hypothetical situation that I created at that time. Marriage, I trust you would believe by now, is an expensive affair. Unless one is just getting married for money or dowry, or married to a working woman, both were not true in my case anyway, it can just have a considerable impact on one's financial gain. A few add-on liabilities out of marriage could be these, which are listed here, though I believe you would by now know better. So here, my friends, we can take a break before we go to the most interesting and concluding part of this episode. Now, money is just unimportant, but only if you have enough of it. To the one who may have no money, it is of a high significance. Anyone with no money and no importance to it would either be a fool or a saint. As I planned to pursue my retirement in 2008, hence I for myself proposed a 8 years of saving graph. What we see here is just the power of computing. I had 8 years in hand and just 5,000 spare money to contribute towards Provident Fund. But in these 8 years, that 5,000 per month would add up to 6 lakh 25,000 rupees. And while retirement, I was hoping to earn a gratuity of least 2 lakh 75,000 rupees. And so, with no earlier savings, I was hoping to retire with 9 lakh rupees, which, in my opinion, at that time was a reasonable money. So this was the ice cream cone with a cherry on top I was hoping to build up for myself in 8 years. Well, love for money is the cost of most evils, and lack of it is the cause for most quarrels. If we agree to divide the population in various classes as per their financial acumen or status, the lower class is basically which has to work their whole life for money but never have enough of it to meet their needs and complete expenses. The middle class is one which earns enough but spends it all in celebration or acquiring liabilities like car, expensive holidays. In short, a fool and his money are a big party. The rich may be someone who do not work for money, but their money work for them. If we wish to determine whether we are poor, rich or middle, here I have a graph which may help out. For most of us, from our earnings after expenses, we do have some leftover. Now we allocate this leftover money as per our considerations and priorities. Basically, these considerations are our needs and aspirations. So on the bottom of it is the security, which basically includes the health insurance or life insurance, pension plans, the instruments that we employ our resources to generate a secure future for us or our children. Thereafter, we have savings, the amount which is held with our banks in our fixed deposits or saving accounts. And last one of these are the investments. Investments are basically which come at a premium and a certain risk. It may involve buying a real estate, a commercial enterprise, placing money in stocks or bonds. So that is the way we generally allocate our leftover money. Now, if we compare our allocation of the leftover money and it builds a pyramid like this, where most of our leftover money is in security, a little lesser is in savings, and the least is in investment, then we can be sure we are in a poor class, or let's say a middle class. In basic financial terms, security are long term deposits with very low risk and very low liquidity. These perform on the principles or power of compounding interest. Savings are low risk, high liquidity deposits, while investments are high risk, low liquidity deposits, and basically are meant to generate a income out of themselves. So while making a comparison of the allocation of your surplus income over the period of time, if you find out that your financial management cone is actually inverse, where the lowest chunk of your surplus money has been in security, a little more on savings, but the biggest chunk of your surplus income has gone towards investment, then you can likely presume yourself to be in a rich, or let's say a upper middle class, where the money works for itself and the investment produce an income for you, and you do not just depend on your work or your job. So the biggest challenge of one's life, either one may know it or not, understand it or not, is to inverse this financial management cone. Now, our security deposits are basically out of our insecurities in life, but most of the time, these deposits only end up eroding the value of our deposits. Not saying that these are not important, these are only as important as insecure one may presume oneself to be. Well, after all said, coming towards the final segment of the current episode, that is the retirement plan. Well, retirement is a situation where you are not working or out of work voluntarily or due to a situation like COVID-19, and now, well, in this example, leftover money you invested, we have taken consideration to be working for you in kitty, you can, because a crucial element cannot be missed out, which is a certain standard of living. The value of 2000 rupees today may decimate to a value of less than 1000 rupees in just 5 to 10 years of time. Long-term fixed deposit, so to maintain a lifestyle or a monthly income scheme with a cost of living equal to 2000 rupees 800 rupees per month as
long
term
term
would require one
So
to
if you
deposit
have
2.5 lakh
lakhs,
rupees in a monthly income scheme, and in
again
your
the
monthly
same
income
amount of
scheme
2.5
it
will
will
generate
generate a 2000
secure
rupees per
long term
month
fixed
for
deposit
you.
with
That is
reasonable
your retirement
interest.
income. Hence, it takes 5 lakh rupees in a long term to maintain a living standard of 2000 rupees a month. In current scenario, one may conclude that the monthly expenses of a household, a retired household, is 20,000 rupees a month. That would require a very prudent investment of up to 50 lakh rupees to maintain a long term lifestyle with a monthly cost of living of 20,000 rupees per month today. So, with this, I believe that is all for today. I hope it was a little intuitive and informative. These were basically from my notes in early beginning of this decade 2020. I enjoyed it thoroughly expressing it to you. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and probably you knew most of it and you have already worked on your financial plan. If not, this is the right time for you to go ahead, probably a little late. Stay safe, stay cheerful. We'll catch you around.